Tell me, doctor, where are we going this time? Is it the 60s or is it 1999? So take me away, I don't mind. Promise me again we'll be back in time. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Game Dojo. I am an old man. I am celebrating a lot of 40th anniversaries, 50th anniversaries. Hell, I just did Atari's 50th anniversary and they're turning 52 now. To be alive during the time of so many wonderful franchises, I am humbled and honored. But today, as you saw from my background, we are celebrating the 40th anniversary of Back to the Future. Marty McFly and Doc Brown, Dr. Emmett Brown McFly. My God, has it been that long? I use that line all the time. It's because it's one of my favorite franchises. Very few times will you find a trilogy of 3 movies that are absolutely perfect. You can take away a little bit, maybe here, there, and yonder, some continuity errors, but if a better trilogy exists out there in the world, I really don't know it. When it comes to movies, it's about as perfect as you can get. But when you start to analyze and take away, that's when you have issues in continuity. But for what it is, we're talking about Back to the Future 1, Back to the Future 2, Back to the Future 3. Now, Back to the Future spawned not only a franchise full of cartoons. That's right. I'm going to show you that. We're going to jump into it. They had a cartoon. They had toys. They had memorabilia. They had so many things and spin-offs and Comic-Cons. The DeLorean became this mythical vehicle that everybody wanted, even with Mr. Fusion inside. But how many of you knew that Michael J. Fox wasn't the first Marty McFly, and that majority of the movie was almost filmed with another actor? Stick around to the end. I'll tell you exactly who that actor is. If you don't know by now, you ain't into the series the way you should be. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to sit back, relax with your favorite groovy snacks, and take a look, because we are celebrating the 40th anniversary of Back to the Future. Dun, 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 ma-na-na. So, ladies and jelly spoons, we're looking at the DeLorean and all its magical delight. That's right, ladies and jelly spoons. And over here, we have the trilogy on standby. Back to the Future trilogy, all 3. Dun, 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 dun. Diddle din 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 diddle din 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 diddle. Do 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 din 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 diddle din 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 diddle din 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 diddle. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we are taking a look at one of the best trilogies to ever exist. Big shout out to the Nightmare Creature for lending me her copy, because mine is digital. And as you guys see over here, I have a few models. We have Back to the Future 1 on deck and standby. I don't know if y'all can see that. Can y'all see that? Oh, it's a little blurry. Let me crystal that up for you. There you go. There you go. Can y'all see that? Focus, dude. Focus. There you go. This is Back to the Future 1 car, as you can see by the wheels. This is one of my mini sets, my Hot Wheels mini sets. This is part 1. You can tell by the DeLoreans and the wheels. You also have Back to the Future, if I'm not throwing it on the ground. You also have Back to the Future 2. Can we spotlight on James Brown, y'all? Come on, man. Come on, man. There we go. Come on. Turn it up. There we go. There we go. And you can see this one has the flipped up side tires, which we see all the time in Mario Kart. See the blue light all around it. It's got Mr. Fusion in the back. Still using the flux capacitor, but that was Back to the Future 2. You then got Back to the Future 3. Come on, focus, dude. Focus. There you go. You got Back to the Future 3 right here. You can see where they had to put the new tires on it because that wasn't available in the Old West when they found it in a minecart. You also see they got the hood attachment to it. This is the one that they put on the train tracks and drove, leaving Doc back in the Old West with Sarah Clayton Ravine. And then we have the ultimate vehicle. This one is my pride and joy. I love this one. It's got the little metallic paint. It's got the side wheels. It's got the actual front grille. If you look in there, you can actually see the flux capacitor back there. You can see the steering wheel. You can check the side of it. You can actually look at the back. They have all the machinery back here and Mr. Fusion. And if you look in the back, you even have the license plate, which is very hard to see, but it does say out of time, and you have the brake lights. This one is one of my favorites. So we have all of these on standby because Back to the Future is celebrating its 40th anniversary. 40th anniversary, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. So let's dive in with a flashback from way back to get you knowing what I'm talking about. Because if you don't know what I'm talking about, I don't know if we can be friends. All right, so let's check out the trailer.
When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious shit.
I'm from the future. I came here in a time machine that you invented.
Great Scott!
1.21 gigawatts! What the hell is a gigawatt? Can it fly? Hello? Anybody home? You're George McFly. Who are you? Dad!
Just relax, Calvin. You got a big bruise on your head. That is your name, isn't it? Calvin Klein? It's written all over your underwear.
We're sending you back to the future.
Listen to this!
Hold on, fellas. I'm afraid you're just too darn loud.
Okay, guess you guys aren't ready for that yet. But your kids are gonna love it.
Roads? Where we're going, we don't need roads. My God, has it been that long?
All right, ladies and jelly spoons, that trailer got me so souped. Back to the Future has got to be one of the most quotable movies in history. First of all, let's just start at Back to the Future 1 before we take this any further, because this is a platinum series from the beginning. You don't have to wait until the end to get all the ratings. But let's just talk about just how popular Back to the Future is. It was quoted in the Avengers. Marvel was quoted in the Avengers, especially when they went back to the time to change things in the past and the future. They literally mentioned Marty McFly and Back to the Future. And if you go into DC, I believe it was the Flash movie with Michael Keaton. And they literally went back to the past of his lineage, but it was in the future. I don't know how they did it, but there was a scene where they was in a room where they was actually in the young Flash's room, and it was a picture of Back to the Future on the wall, but it had Eric Stoltz instead of Michael J. Fox. And that is a funny joke because not only did that retcon, because a lot of people didn't know that Eric Stoltz was Marty McFly. They had shot majority of the movie with Eric Stoltz before he was no longer Marty McFly. And a big shout out to Michael J. Fox, who had contractually been obligated with Family Ties in the mornings from like 5 a.m. to a certain amount of time. Then he had to go right to Back to the Future, and he was sleeping for like an hour. He was surviving on ramen soup. To be dedicated so young and so strong to a craft, I appreciate that. The movie is a better movie for you. I don't agree with how much you had to go through. I do agree that your sacrifice this time was in vain, because it was absolutely wonderful. Back to the Future Part 1, in my opinion, is probably one of the most perfect movies I've ever seen in my entire life. Part 2, I may have had some issues with, going back to the Biff of the future past that was evil. Biff Tannen is basically, he's the antagonist throughout the series, no matter what version it is, whether he's in the Old West or whether he's in 1955 or maybe he's in 1985. He is the antagonist throughout the series. Strickland, not so much. He was just angry. Oh, and for those of you who didn't catch the Easter egg in that trailer, the guy that says, "You're just too damn loud," when Marty goes to try out for the band, for the school band and playing, that was Huey Lewis. That was Huey Lewis. And those thick frame glasses that said, "I'm afraid you're just too damn loud," that was Huey Lewis. That's right, Mr. Take Me Away, I Don't Mind, Promise Me You'll Be Back in Time. And the soundtrack, when you hear that ding ding, everybody knows where it comes from. It's on ringtones, it's on phones, it's on door chimes. Literally, Back to the Future, the music itself is another character in the Back to the Future storyline. The music pairs perfectly with it and makes a meal for the senses and feet, and I absolutely loved it. One of the themes, the main themes, like, what do you have in there? You have Back in Time, The Power of Love, then you have the Back to the Future theme, which is art and whole amazing orchestra. Everything, it just fits perfect. It hits perfect in his movie. It's quoted everywhere in cinema. You can even see, what's that movie that they made where everybody was going to a parallel universe in the computer where you could be anything and everything? What's the name of that damn movie? Ready Player One. And Ready Player One, the main character drives the DeLorean in a race. Like, it's probably one of the biggest quotable, referenced movies in history when it comes to anything, even time travel. And the flux capacitor, oh my God, like there's just so many lines in there that you can quote. I myself quote, "My God, has it been that long?" all the time. Let's start off with the first movie. The first movie, I can't tell you how many times I've watched it. Over the past 40-something years, I'd probably say I've watched it maybe about 600, 700 times. Yeah, definitely. Matter of fact, that's a very conservative estimate, because I could easily probably go higher than that, but I'm gonna say that's an easy conservative estimate, about 600 times. And when it comes to the franchise of Back to the Future, nothing is bigger and better. It had rides and Universal Studios. It had a whole stunt show one time at Great Adventure. They had a Back to the Future ride. They had a Back to the Future roller coaster.
Which when I went to Universal Studios when I was 10 years old, I was on the 3D Back to the Future ride, and that was amazing. Exactly.
And as I was showing before, even the car, the DeLorean, in Part 2, the wheels flip down to fly the car. Where have you seen that? Mario Kart 8, every anti-gravity area part of the course, your wheels flip down and do this. So when it comes to Back to the Future, I don't think there's any part of culture that Back to the Future hasn't influenced in one way or another. And Back to the Future 1 is so classic. Now, I will say I didn't think about it back then. This is the only negative. I'm only going to do one negative because there's really nothing else. The only thing I can think of that's really negative about it that I didn't think about now, well, I think about it now, but I didn't think about it then, is when he goes to the past in 1955, he's getting hit on and macked on by his mom. His mom full kisses him in the car. She's all up on him. She's looking at him in his underwear, his Calvin Klein's. Isn't he a dreamboat? That is very, if you think about that in now climate, because now everything is examined with a microscope and you got to be politically correct. That is pretty bad. But back then, wasn't thinking about it because most of us found Leah Thompson hot. So we was like, oh yeah, it's just hot. She just likes him, forgetting the fact that this is her child and that is his mother. Because a lot of times I was just like, dude, you're making out with Leah Thompson. I don't, but I'm like, he's playing her son. That's his mom. He grew up with his mom and now his mom is horn dogging on him. It's pretty weird. That's pretty weird. Everything else is pretty cool. That's pretty weird. That's really weird. Also, she made out with Calvin. She kissed him, and I kissed you. It's like I'm kissing my brother. She says that in the car. But as she goes older, she has those memories of Calvin Klein saving her and helping out George and doing all of this. So when she had her son, did she ever was just like, saw him in high school and was just like, oh my God, he looks exactly like Calvin Klein. Think about that one. There's twists in this that'll make your mind run crazy. I've analyzed this a lot, but I'm going to get off of that because that's the only negative I have on it. It's not really a negative. It's just, it's creepy by today's standards. Back then, not so much. We let a lot go. Hell, come on. We bought the fact that he remote controlled a DeLorean into the future with a dog in it. You don't know if it blew up your dog, that's horrible. As somebody who loves dogs, and I had a puppy around here somewhere. I don't know where he went. Y'all know him, Miko. And I can't see harming a dog and putting a dog in that much danger. So that's pretty crazy too. Cringe. Very cringe. But if you're going to make a time machine, you might as well make it out of something with style. And I've never seen another cooler time machine than DeLorean. Even in Time Cop, that whole little thing where they got in and they speed so fast towards a wall, the Devolmer's two blood spots. I don't know if y'all seen Time Cop with Van Damme. At one point, he was an awesome, huge movie star. Now he's just that weird guy that does TikToks. Hey. Anyway, Back to the Future. The story, in a summarized way, is he meets Doc. Doc is his friend. It's like an uncle to him. He's more like family. Doc Brown. I would say he's family. And he wanted Marty to come down to check out an experiment he was working on, which was time travel. He had stolen some plutonium from some bad people. Not going to go into them. If you've seen Back to the Future, you know who they are. They got the RPGs and everything else to try to take him out. What ends up happening is Doc gets unalived and Marty is forced to get in the car to try to get away. Without thinking about it, he speeds up. The time circuits are still set to what they were set. He ends up going back to 1955. In 1955, he sees the first person he comes across is his dad in a bar. Well, not a bar. It's like a ice cream shop. Mayor Goldie Wilson works there. He meets his dad there. He also meets Biff, who his father still has problems with, even in his time in the 80s. And then he meets his mom in the weirdest way, where he follows George. Another cringy part. He follows George into this neighborhood, and where George has climbed a tree and he's got binoculars and he's watching women undress. He's a horn dog. His dad is a peeping Tom. And he falls down and almost gets hit by a car, but Marty pushes him out of the way. The first thing he did to change time, because his dad was supposed to get hit. That's how he met Lorraine. But instead, it's Marty who gets hit, and he meets Lorraine, and she falls in love with him instead of her father. So now you have a problem, because she falls in love with Marty and not the father. He starts to be getting erased from existence because he undid his own doing. Follow so far? All right. So he spends the rest of the movie trying to locate Doc Brown in that time period, explain to him about the time machine he created, all while trying to save his himself from being not born, getting his mom and dad together. So he goes through everything in the world of trying to getting his mom and dad together. Now Biff has a problem with Marty. So many classic, amazing scenes in Back to the Future 1. The Johnny B. Good scene, absolutely amazing, because who he meets. This is your brother Chuck. This is your brother Marvin Berry. He was talking to Chuck Berry. I don't know if y'all got that joke. You know that new sound for you've been looking for? Well, listen to this. And then he did Johnny B. Good, which is funny because before Back to the Future, I had not heard Johnny B. Good. As old as I am, I had not heard Johnny B. Good. After Back to the Future, one of my favorite songs. And every time I hear it, the first thing that comes to my mind is Michael J. Fox singing Go Johnny Go 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 on the stage. And he loses it and he starts doing his rock and roll thing, kicking over amplifiers and knocking stuff on the stage. And now everybody's just staring at him because they've never heard anything like this before. Because he forgets what time he's in. No rock and roll. So as everybody stares at him and looks at him, he's like, yeah, you guys, I guess you guys aren't ready for that, but your children are going to love it. And there's just so many catchy throwback scenes in there, because then him and Doc have to realize that the only time he can go back is at the stroke of midnight when the clock tower gets struck by lightning. There's some very deep Frankenstein themes in there. And Marty ends up catching the lightning bolt, being thrust back in the future, but now he's angry because he can't stop Doc from dying. Because in the past, he wrote a letter to Doc saying that when I go back in time, the night I go back, you'll be shot by a bunch of terrorists. And what ends up happening is he makes it back just before the bad people crash into like a photo mat in the mall. And he goes over to Doc, and Doc is still laying there on the ground, and he starts to cry, and then Doc sits up, and he was like, how did you... And then he looks and opens up the shirt. It's like bulletproof vest. And he was like, how did you know? And he pulls out the letter that Marty gave to him. And he was like, what about all those things about screwing up the space-time continuing? And he was just like, I figured, what the hell? So that's how Marty ended up saving the Doc's life, by going back in time and changing that. But in changing that, he also changed his present and the future that he's on. So now in the future that he's on, he's got the car he wanted for, he's got the girl he wanted for, he's everything he wanted. Biff is now the heel. He's no longer the antagonist in the movie, and now for some reason Biff is underneath them, and everything seems perfectly fine. It would have been a great movie. We didn't need any more, but the search for more money always takes on many faces. And at the end of the movie, Doc pulls up in a DeLorean, and Marty's just like, "What? I don't understand. Everything is good." And he was like, "No, it's your kids. Something's got to be done about your kids." And he was like, "What happened? Did they like turn to a-holes or something like that?" Which is funny because even Rick and Morty made fun of that, where he was like, "Your dog, something's got to be done about your children." He's like, "Well, what's got to be done about our children?" Or was it Family Guy? I think it's either Family Guy or Rick and Morty who made the joke, where it's like, they married black people, and he was just like, "Yeah, Doc, we don't actually have a problem with that." But in the real movie, this is what I'm saying, everybody references Back to the Future. Everybody and everything, every culture medium literally references Back to the Future. You can find it in almost anything, which is amazing, because that's how much mark this movie has made on a generation after generation after generation, over 4 different decades. The 40th anniversary is insane to be celebrating such an amazing movie, and nothing else since then has been like it. There's been tons of time machine movies, but nothing has captured the generation's heart quite like Back to the Future did. And at the very end of the movie, they end up having to go to the future to save his kids. And when he backs up, he's like, "Well, I think we better back up some more, Doc. We don't have enough room to get up to 88. And he was like, "Roads, where we're going, we don't need roads." And he flips it down, the tires flip up, and he flies off into the distance, and it goes, and then it comes up like, and they disappear. Part 2 starts exactly from that scene. Verbatim where it takes off, it starts exactly at that scene. And then when you flash forward to the future, they're in the air and flying cars are everywhere. Here's a little piece of knowledge. If you watch Back to the Future, we're actually eclipsing a lot of the event times that happened in the future. We don't look anything like the future in Back to the Future right now. There also isn't like a Jaws 75 or a Jaws 85. As far as I know, they stopped making Jaws in the 90s. Like, that was the end of the last Jaws movie. I think the last one was with like what's his name with the S curl? Oh, what is his name? Mario Van Peebles, with the horrible Jamaican accent, where they went down to the Bahamas and the shark followed them from New York to the Bahamas to take out Michael for some reason. As far as I know, that's the last Jaws movie. Officially. I haven't seen like a Jaws 5 or a Jaws 9 or 10. There's like 5 Anaconda movies, so there could be another Jaws movie that we don't know out there. But let's just put it this way. We're nowhere near the amount of Jaws that they had in the future. So in the future, we're treated to the problem of Marty going down a bad road, and his life is just in shambles. Again, go figure. So they try to figure out how his life went to shambles and what was going on in here. And during this time, Biff stumbles onto the time machine, takes it back to 1955 to mess up everybody's future. So once they handle what they need to handle now, Jennifer, who passes out, is actually left, and then they have to find her again. They go back to their time in 85, and now everything is different. It is like hell. Or as Doc Brown, Christopher Lloyd said, well, it's not hell, but I can't imagine hell being any different. Exactly. It's hell. Biff somehow has become Bowser from Super Mario, and he owns everything because of the sports almanac. So they figured out how he manipulated time using a sports almanac. He bet on the winners. He got tons of money. He ended up taking Lorraine and unaliving George, and it was just so many bad things that happened. It went dark. I would say part 2 is probably the darkest of the 3 movies. And then they have to go back to the past to save the future. So they have to go back to 1955, stop Biff from giving younger Biff the sports almanac. So now there's 2 Biffs, 2 Martys, 2 Docs. There's a lot going on, but they handle it amazingly because it's funny, it's genius. From a movie standpoint, you're using the old original footage that you have for part 2. Now that's the amazing part, that you're using footage from part 1 for part 2. So it had to save on some production costs, which is amazing. The only thing I did not like is that the father, Crispin Glover, they found a look-alike and simulated his voice and used him for part 2 because he did not want to be a part of part 2 because of some monetary issues and things and royalties that they had in there. He ended up suing them and actually winning the lawsuit because you just can't use somebody's likeness and voice and everything else and then use them and their likenesses in perpetuity in your next movie without them being in it. You just can't do it. I would say that was one of the sad exits from the series, is losing Crispin Glover to literally materialistic problems and litigation in between there. But you know what I'm saying? You gotta take a stand or people run all over you. So I salute George for that one, George McFly. I loved him as a character. I liked him. He went on to do Charlie's Angels and a bunch of other different things. So I like him there.
He was even in a Friday the 13th movie.
Yeah, so I give him credit. He went on to do bigger, better things, and he got a boatload of money from them. So, you know, it is what it is. I would have preferred to have him in the next 2 movies, but we didn't end up getting that. So, in saving the past and getting rid of Biff, going back to the future, they ended up with everything being set correctly. The timeline changing, which is weird because they left They left his girlfriend on the porch when they went back to the past, which scientifically there should have been a different branch of the future where everything went back to normal again. So the Jennifer they found shouldn't have been the same Jennifer they left on the porch. They should have took her with her because she was taken out of time too. The original timeline, she, Marty, and Doc went into the DeLorean to the future. When they came back to 1955, the bad 1955 in hell, they should have taken her with them, even if she was just knocked out in a DeLorean. Because the way it's supposed to work, as I understand, I'm not an astrophysicist, but the way I understand it, and the way everybody talks about it, is that he created a new branch, an alternate branch of 1955 after he changed what Biff changed. So now there's 3 branches. So technically, when he goes to his future, it's along the branch that he started now, a new branch, which means that Jennifer, that was the original one with him, should not exist there anymore. But she still is there. She still has her memories. I don't know how. I don't care how. They did it great. We got a happy ending, or so we thought. Because then we find out during the course of situations, Dr. Emmett Brown McFly ended up getting shot in the back by Buford Tannen in the Old West. And Marty found that in a cemetery when he went to go look for his father. So he was trying to figure out how Doc, one, got into the Old West and how Tannen ended up killing him, which is insanity because that shapes the face of part 3 altogether. Now 3 goes back to the Old West. So by part 3, we've already had the future, 2 versions of the present, and 2 versions of the past, but 1955. Now, the 3rd entry in Back to the Future takes you all the way back to the Old West where Doc is, where Doc met his end. So Marty, being the good family member, because I'm not going to call him friend, the good family member he is, he couldn't let Doc go out like that. So he went back to save Doc, which is amazing. But in that time period, the parts, the machinery, and the things didn't exist to make the time machine possible for Marty to get back. So he was stuck in the Old West with Biff, but now he has to figure out a way to keep Biff from taking out Doc. And that's basically the substance of part 3, because you get the Marty Jennifer triangle, you get the Lorraine and George triangle that goes together. Now the last one has to be Dr. Emmett Brown McFly, him finding love, which he does with Clara, his beloved Clara Clayton, a scientist from back then, which technically he's screwing up the future because he was not supposed to be alive back then to meet her or have a life with her. And that's where problems ensue from that point on. But they end up making a very cool time machine, because when Marty comes back from the past to the future by the train and the logs, I like that whole log scene where they have special logs that you throw into the train's fire, and it makes the train go faster so they can push it up to 88 miles an hour so that Marty can go into the future before the train goes into the ravine, and Doc ends up saving Clara with a hoverboard. There's so many cool things that happen. But as Marty arrives in the future on the train tracks, the train is coming through and destroys the time machine. So the DeLorean time machine, as far as we know it, is done. It's over with. It's in trillions of pieces. It's done. And he now is just like, there's no way for me to get back to Doc to help him, because the Doc had to sacrifice himself to save Clara so that Marty could go to the future. Which, if you look at it really closely, when he's on the hoverboard, he goes in front of Marty and off to the right. He could have just as easily went to Marty and jumped into the car, but I'm not going to go into continuity because that's not how the story went. So as Marty is sitting there, sad over Doc being gone forever, he hears the train's bells start ringing and train crossing things come down, but there's no train. And then boom, 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 here comes this train on the tracks. He made a train time machine now. which is pretty damn awesome. And he opens up the thing and he gets to see Marty again, and he gives him an heirloom that he can hold. And Marty gets to see Clara, and now they have two sons, Jules and Vern. And the Doc found his love where he wanted to go. And I always wanted another entry, maybe based off the Doc going and doing something else, but we never really got it. It ended in a culmination of 3 movies, and some would say it ended on a perfect ending. But if you did want more adventures into what Doc and Clara did, believe it or not, after that, there was a cartoon. That's right. Back to the Future, the cartoon. Check this out. See?
Electrical current flowing.
Optical input.
They had Christopher Lloyd's actual voice.
Focus.
And Christopher Lloyd.
7 meters. The distance preferred by most leading television personalities. Greetings. Dr. Emmett L. Brown here, creator of the Auto-Jog mechanical running shorts.
See, y'all thought I was capping. But I told y'all, nah, we celebrating Back to the Future. You thought I was joking. That cartoon is very rare. It is off the air. It's been off the air for quite a long time. Don't ask me how I got it. Just know, and you've seen that I do have it. I have the complete series of Back to the Future, the cartoon. So it is like a living universe after the 3rd movie that a lot of people, most people, didn't know existed. But don't count yourself out, because if you still want to be part of the Back to the Future storyline, you can on your Xbox, your PlayStation, your Nintendo Switch, your PC through Steam, because guess what? There was a Back to the Future game. Oh yeah. Check this out. Now, for those of y'all who don't know, this is Back to the Future game. Now, this game encompasses 5 episodes, 5 different episodes that are hours and hours long. This is the entire lineage of Back to the Future with storylines you've never seen before. And this, if you ever wanted to be part of a franchise, you know Telltale Games has it on lock. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, let me bring you into Back to the Future. These are the time circuits. This one tells you where you're going. This one tells you where you was. This one tells you where you are.
All right, I'm ready.
Good evening. I'm Dr. Emmett Brown. I'm standing on the parking lot at Twin Pines Mall. It's Saturday morning, October 26th, 1985, 1:18 a.m. And this is temporal experiment number 1. Come on, Einie. Hey, boy, get in there. That a boy. In you go. Get down. Get your seatbelt on. That's it.
Whoa. Okay.
Please note that Einstein's clock is in precise synchronization with my control watch. Got it?
Right, check, Doc.
Good. Have a good trip, Einstein. Watch your head.
You got that thing hooked up to the car?
Watch this.
Yeah, okay. Got it.
Not me, the car.
The car.
See, if you watch the movie so much, you can quote these lines.
If my calculations are correct, when this
Baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious shit. I love that line.
Watch this.
And if you know the movie, just say the line. You disintegrated Einstein.
88 miles per hour. The temporal displacement occurred at exactly 1:20 a.m. and 0 seconds.
Ah, Jesus Christ, Doc. You disintegrated Einstein.
Calm down, Marty. I didn't disintegrate anything. It molecular structure of both Einstein and the car are completely intact.
Where the hell are they?
The appropriate
Question is, when in the hell are they?
You see,
Einstein has just become the world's first time traveler. Send him into the future.
1 minute into the future, to be exact. And
Now,
at
I'ma do like
precisely
the movie
1:28
says.
0 seconds, we shall catch up with him and the time machine.
Wait a minute, Doc.
Are you telling me
you built
build a time machine out of a DeLorean?
Out of a DeLorean?
The way I see it, if you're going to build a time machine into a car, why not do it in some style? Besides, the stainless steel construction they
It reflects the person. This is the point in the movie where Einie came back. But this is where the game differs from the movie. Because Einie did not come back.
Doc?
Huh, that's peculiar.
Where's the car, Doc?
It should have caught up with us 27 seconds ago.
Doc, what happened to Einstein?
No need for concern. It's probably just a minor miscalibration of the time circuits. Marty, could you get my notebook? It should be in the toolbox.
And this is where your journey begins. You literally walk around with Marty and start the adventure. Alright, I told y'all, man. Y'all thought I was play pimping. I told you I wasn't. So, if you're looking to jump back into the world of Back to the Future and just shaping time to your story, because if you've ever played a Telltale game, you know the choices defined your story. Now, they give you the options of saying the same lines and making the same decisions that happen in the movie, or you can differ and change the story to your liking. To me, it's no better way to being a part of the universe, just like Hogwarts Legacy, that puts you in the universe of Harry Potter. RoboCop Rogue City puts you in the universe of RoboCop and the actual thing. Very few games are good enough to invite you into that world where you can partake and be a part and live in all those beautiful moments that you watched and fell in love with. Back to the Future is a love letter. The game is a love letter to people, of the fans of the Back to the Future franchise. Subsequently, there have been talks about making a Back to the Future 4. Sadly, I do not think Michael J. Fox's health or Christopher Lloyd's health is well enough to perform something like that, which that's the sad part about us getting older, is the people we love, the people we watch, the people we admire, they got older just as we get older. So I'm older now. I'm probably as old now as Doc was back in Back to the Future, which is insane to even think about that. But I do love that there is still lore, there's still an interest, that there's still something to be defined in the universe of Back to the Future, because that little DeLorean ain't over with. And that 3 trilogy could literally one day be a quadrilogy. I don't know how you could adapt the story unless Marty's kid grew up and now he has to do something, and maybe Doc's kids, he has to do something with Doc's kids or something like that. And you can have Michael J. Fox and Christopher Lloyd make an appearance, kind of like they did with the Ghostbusters Afterlife, or kindly like they did in the last Jumanji movie, where they had Danny DeVito and Danny Glover like in there. Like, I do like the people we grew up with, like even Indiana Jones the game. I just recently finished that game. That was phenomenal. Trey Parker, his voice work, there were so many times that I thought that was Harrison Ford and did not know that wasn't Harrison Ford, but it literally put me into the universe of Indiana Jones, and I always wanted that, and I love those games. They're love letters to fans. And Back to the Future, the game by Telltale, is a love letter to fans. And if you ever wanted to be a part of that universe in a more in-depth way, go play Back to the Future Telltale, like the game. I think it's on, you can find it on Xbox 360. You can find an upgraded version on like PlayStation and Xbox and PC and Steam. So there's ways for you can still, even on Nintendo Switch, there's still ways for you to play this game even today. So if you wanted to, you still could play Back to the Future, or you could pop out that collector's set and watch Back to the Future. You can play Back to the Future. You can be Back to the Future. And that's the great thing about hard media. Everybody's been talking lately about digital and getting rid of physical media in lieu of digital media. Digital media is great and everything is all good with that. But remember, physical media, unless it degenerates and expires, you have that forever. The internet can go down. We've seen shortages on the internet. You can lose power, so that couldn't happen. Like there's a bunch of things that can happen to stop the flow of internet traffic when you have it digitally. But physical means you can hold it, you can smell it, you can look at it, you can see its beauty. Even if you weren't watching it, you can turn around and read the box, you can feel it, you can touch the DVDs, you can touch the Blu-rays. Like there's just something about physically having it that is special. It's part of your collection. It's part of you. You say, I have this. I am a part of this. The same way the game does, the same way the cartoon series did, the same way everything inside Back to the Future universe pulled you in. There's people of all ages, all denominations, all colors, all races, everything across the rainbow, yellow hearts, blue diamond, purple horseshoes, everything across from the Lucky Charms box is incorporated. And there is something in it for everybody. And I love it because they don't make movies like this anymore, which is why we wanted to literally jump into the Back to the Future universe and give it some love. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, at the very end of this, I'm going to take you on a little tour of my little Back to the Future cars in more detail. But until then, take me away. I don't mind. Promise me again, we'll be back in time. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, a true platinum trilogy, if ever there was one, Back to the Future. Happy 40th Back to the Future. Thank you, Leah Thompson. Thank you, Crispin Glover. Thank you, Michael J. Fox. Thank you, Christopher Lloyd. Thank the entire production staff, Steven Spielberg, Robert Zemeckis, because that was in Ready Player One, the Zemeckis Cube. Y'all don't remember that? The Zemeckis Cube. Go watch Ready Player One. It's full of references to Back to the Future. I love this, and I can't believe 40 years, 4 decades. Oh my God. The things that existed here that no longer exist. The people that existed here that no longer exist. There have been a few cast members that have passed away. A few people that made this possible. This was a heartfelt trip down memory lane. And I, for one, in the Game Dojo, loved every minute of it. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me. Whether you see this on 24K Reviews or on my game channel, we're going to celebrate Back to the Future. So I'm going to go dig one of these out, pop one in, and have a good time. You guys do the same. Till next time, next gameplay, next movie play, I'll take my little DeLoreans, put them back in the box, and enjoy perhaps one of the best trilogies that was ever invented, Back to the Future. My God, has it been that long? Take care, guys.